A lot of the media summary of the investigation starts with people's views and who they voted for in the 2016 presidential election. And for those of us who spend a lot of time reading intelligence reports, a handful of us on this committee are about to leave to go to an intelligence briefing. What Russia is doing to the U.S. is big and broad and not constrained to the 2016 election. And increasingly, it feels like the American people reduce Russia to just how you thought about the 2016 presidential election. So since you'll have serious supervisory responsibilities over parts of the intelligence community, is Putin a friend or a foe, and what are his long-term objectives toward the U.S.?
Well, I don't hold myself out as a foreign policy expert, but I think that he is. I think the Russians are a potent rival of our country, and his foreign policy objectives are usually directly contrary to our goals. I think he wants to weaken the American alliances in Europe, and he also wants to become a player in the Middle East, more of a player in the Middle East. A lot of his foreign policy objectives are at odds with ours. At the same time, I think the primary rival of the United States is China. I think, Russia is half the size it was when we were facing them at the peak of the Cold War. Their economy is long-term prognosis is nowhere near China's. I also feel that part of what Russia's up to is trying to hold on to Ukraine and Belarus in their orbit. But I'm concerned that the fixation on Russia not obscure the danger from China.
I want to ask you some China questions as well. I want to ask about your role on the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, but sticking with Russia for a minute. Does Putin have any long-term ideological alignment with the U.S., or does he have other objectives trying to sow discord broadly here?
I'm not an expert on this area, but I think there are, I think there may be some potential areas where our interests could be aligned.
But when he interferes here, does he have long-term interests in the success of one or another political party, or does he have specific interests in sowing chaos and discord to make Americans distrust one another? And one of the reasons I ask is because I'd love to have you say in public some of what you said to me about at the end of this investigation, what happens next? Are you concerned that when the Mueller report is received, quite apart from the narrowest pieces, you know where I'm headed?
Yeah. So, I think that the basic vulnerability of the United States in the age in which we live, the internet age, the globalization of information and so forth, is the vulnerability of that we're seeing, which is people can create doubt, undercut confidence in our election process, and also torque our public discourse in ways that we find hard to perceive. And this has long-term danger for the United States and the survival of a democratic society like ours. And so I hope that whatever the outcome of the Mueller investigation, that we view this as a bigger problem of foreign interference in our elections, which is why I said it was one of my priorities. And it's not just the Russians, it's other countries as well. And we have to focus on that. We have to ensure that we're doing all we can. And I'm not sure all of that is defensive either. I mean, in terms of law enforcement, I think we have to look at all options, including sanctions and other options to deter organized efforts to interfere in our elections.
So you have no reason to doubt any aspect of the intelligence community's composite assessment about Russian efforts in the 2016 election?
I have no reason to doubt that the Russians attempted to interfere in our election.
And Dan Coates, the National Intelligence Director, has testified in public and has said in different media contexts that Russia is already plotting for the 2020 elections in the U.S. You have no reason to doubt that.
I haven't, I haven't seen those reports. I had reviewed the reports about the 2016, but I have no reason to doubt it.
And can you explain what your role is on the President's Intelligence Advisory Board?
Yeah, I'm actually a consultant. I'm an advisor on sort of legal issues. Obviously, I'm stepping down from that position if I'm confirmed, but I've been just advising. I'm not a member of the board. I'm on the CIA's External Advisory Board, and have been participating on that as well.